How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with the Game Week 3 preview stream. As you can see, if I swivel my chair, and lean it back a little bit, that way. Nope, not that way. That way, that way, that way. There we go. Manchester City assets that you must own going into this game week. I'm going a bit risky, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But just go through some normal stuff here. So first of all, thank you for all the support. We're over 900 subscribers over on YouTube. We've hit 50 followers here on Twitch. Fantastic stuff. Make sure to keep following us, keep subscribing if you're new, giving those thumbs up on the videos and that sort of stuff really helps with the channel. Follow us over on Twitter so you can see what content is coming out during the week. Also, we're going to be moving the preview stream. So the next preview stream is actually going to be a quick turnaround. Assuming things go according to plan for the stuff that I have scheduled. We're going to be doing preview streams on Mondays, and we'll do the deadline streams on Saturday. So that means the videos will be moved to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, rather than Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Preview streams will be on Monday, so there'll be immediate reaction right after the Monday game when Salah hopefully scores a hat-trick. And we'll get onto that in a little bit. Some other news, we're going to be looking at the season ticker, some change in fixtures. We're going to be looking at the goals imminent table. We're going to see how I did this week, how we did with the predictions. We're going to go through our normal predictions as usual. And we're going to kick on from there. We're going to be looking at the Manchester clubs, and we're going to be looking at some potential changes that we might need to be making to our forward line, among other things as well. So, as usual, we put this out on YouTube after the fact. We'll be doing the same thing with the deadline stream, which will be tomorrow, 1 hour before the deadline. I think that's 5 a.m. EDT. That's when we'll be live. And last but not least, I would like to give a shout out to, I think it's Dolly07. Thank you for following us. Much appreciated. So, without further ado, let's check out how we did. So, that's the season ticker. That's not my team. There's my team. We'll be looking at the season ticker in just a little bit. So, overall, we got 69 points. We took a -8. So, the transfers that we made from last week, we took out Che Adams, who only got 1 point. We took out Dele Alli, who got 0. And we took out Kai Havertz, who ended up getting 1 point as well. So, overall, I think quite successful considering we brought in Calvert-Lewin, James Rodriguez, and Bruno Fernandes. Bruno obviously only getting 2 points, but nonetheless, I think the -8 was worth it in just this game week alone. And overall, I think the team did quite well. You know, the -8 did hit it a little bit. Our rank increase wasn't as good as what it could have been. But yeah, let's just run through the team a little bit. So McCarthy got 0. We had Steer in. We thought potentially he could play, but overall it didn't work out. They put Martinez straight in. Which is going to be interesting to see because they still have Heaton to potentially come back. So will Heaton, get sold to another team? We'll have to see. Doherty getting a 0. Yellow card and conceding 2 goals. Not great there, but has a good fixture this week. The double clean sheet was actually quite good for Liverpool, which was quite nice. Salah didn't score, which also helped us as well. Mane did, but a lot of people don't have Mane. But the double Liverpool defense coming through clutch. Again, we were expecting 1 clean sheet in the first 3. Or if you got Van Dijk, if you got Trent Alexander-Arnold, if you got Robertson, they haven't blanked. Trent blanked in the first game because they didn't get a clean sheet. But Robertson hasn't blanked. Van Dijk hasn't blanked yet because Van Dijk got a goal. Robertson got an assist. And looking good so far. So we're going to be sticking with them in the in the future thus far. Aubameyang captain, he's left our team this week just because it makes the most sense because of his fixtures. Fernandes, we have him versus Brighton this week. United were quite poor, but he still created a lot of chances. St. Maximin, as you can see, is a doubt. Only got us 1 point, got subbed off after he got absolutely skinned by Lamptey. And then we have James. He was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So nothing really much more to say there. Calvert-Lewin, again, brilliant. Didn't expect Everton to beat them that badly, but that's giving me hopes for Timo Werner and could potentially sway the captaincy choice. Werner did look bright, but again, going down to 10 men, not really ideal. And then Mitrovic getting 2 goals was fantastic. So we kept the guy who scored 2. That would have been very upsetting had I not kept Mitrovic and I had kept Che Adams. So another thing that we learned was Burke played the full 90 minutes and he's playing up front. So that's fantastic that we have him in our team. Mitchell did well, and then Ferguson obviously isn't playing at the moment. It doesn't have a return date for him that we know of. No, he does not. So yeah, overall, you know, pretty good. 69 points is pretty respectable. I saw some monstrous scores. So you had the likes of Son getting 4 goals, Harry Kane getting, you know, 4 assists and a goal, like absolutely ludicrous scores. And if you hung on Son, fair play. I didn't have him to begin with. I had Ali, so I was always getting rid of him. So I thought my transfers made out quite well. In terms of the predictions, so we're going to bring over, we do predictions, and we keep a tally every week as to how we predict things over on Twitter, and I have a little notepad. Basically, if you don't know how the scoring works and you haven't been on the channel before, and if you are new, make sure to subscribe. But the way you do it is you can, you know, if you get a good score, send me a tweet and show me how many predictions you got right, and when you basically when you did the predictions. But basically, if you get the exact score right, so if I had predicted Everton to win 5-2 over West Brom, I would get 3 points. If I predict Everton win and they win, I get 1 point, but if I don't get the result right, then I get 0 points. So ideally what we want to do is get at least half of them right for an average week and see if we can get one exact score right. So let's see how we did. So I predicted Everton 3-0 over West Brom. Unfortunately, that was not the case. They still won 5-2, so we get 1 point for that. Leeds 3-1 over Fulham. Leeds still got the win, so we get 1 point for that. We got the score right, just the wrong way around for Manchester United versus Crystal Palace, so not much there. Arsenal, we said 3-0 over West Ham. It ended up being 2-1. It was actually a closer game than I thought, so just the 1 point there. Southampton versus Spurs was definitely not 1-1. It was a crazy 5-2 game where Southampton were not sure what they were even doing. Newcastle 3-2 over Brighton. That didn't happen. Newcastle were very bad. So that ended up being a no pointer there. We predicted Liverpool to win 3-2 over Chelsea. It was 2-0, so we only get the 1 point there. Leicester Leeds 2-1. It ended up being 4-2, so similar-ish scoreline if you divided it by 2. So we get the 1 point there. Aston Villa we said would win 2-0 over Sheffield United. They ended up winning 1-0, so we get 1 point there. And then City 2-1 over Wolves, ended up being 3-1 over Wolves. So we get 1 point there. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We actually got 7 out of the 10 results right, but we didn't get any exact scores, which is unfortunate. And let's see how we did for our differential and clean sheet pick. So Everton, no clean sheet. Pope did not keep a clean sheet. Where is Burnley? Oh, there they are. Yeah, no, yeah, Pope did not do good at all. Eiling, I don't believe he got an assist as far as I know. I think he only ended up with the 1 point. Fraser obviously didn't do anything for Newcastle. And I believe Ollie Watkins... Did Ollie Watkins score for Aston Villa? I'm not even sure. Let me move this off to the side. No, it was right. It was the Mings flick on to Konsa. To be fair, he did technically do something for his team. He allowed for I believe it was Egan to get sent off. So yeah, that helped his team out a lot. So we didn't get any of the differential picks right, which is why they're differentials in the first place. Because if they pay off, then they pay off. If they don't, they don't. I don't believe Eiling got anything. No, he didn't. So he would have just got a 1 pointer there. So overall, 7 points total. So we got 7 out of the 10 results right, but we didn't get any exact scores, which, let's face it, it was a crazy week for scoring. That was better than our last week total, where we only got 5, which isn't great. So I make a mark of that and see how we do. So we try to do better and better every week at our predictions. Moving on to this week's fixtures. Again, the deadline is 7 a.m. my time, which is 6 a.m. EDT. I'm 1 hour ahead of East Coast time, which means we'll be up 1 hour before that, which is 6 a.m. my time, which is 5 a.m. EDT. So 1 hour before the deadline, we'll be live here on Twitch as well. Let's bring over our little notepad here so that we can do the predictions for all of the games here. For Manchester United versus Brighton, I think they bounced back last season. United had Brighton's number, especially in this exact fixture, and Mr. Bruno Fernandes scored a brace. So I think they should do okay. Brighton like to play football. They like to, play out from the back. They like to do things that allow United to kind of sit back if they want to and kind of be the away team, as it were. And that would play into United's hands quite greatly. And with the pace, Brighton might not be able to deal with that. And with Basuma out, they also sold Dale Stevens to Burnley. They could be, and Lamptey might not be fully fit because he picked up somewhat of a knock and he just trained, I think it was yesterday or whatever it was. So they'll have to see on that. So if those three are out, then I can definitely see United's chances being a lot greater. Crystal Palace versus Everton. I think this game is going to be an Everton win. I don't think it's going to be a very wide margin. I think it's going to be a comfortable 2-0. I think Palace have pretty much been flattered, really, in the opening two. United showing up a poor performance, and Palace versus Southampton. Again, Southampton were unlucky to not score in that game. West Brom versus Chelsea. 3-0 Chelsea. Not much more to be said there. Actually, I'll go 3-1 because I think if it's Kepa's last game, he's going to probably make a mistake or something like that as well, because Lampard came out and said that Edouard Mendy, he just flew in, I believe it was yesterday, so being Thursday, and that he's not fully ready to be kind of just thrown straight in. And he's basically coming off a plane, getting tested, doing all these interviews, that sort of stuff, and bang, you're straight on the field. So they kind of want to chill out on that, and it makes sense because he gets a home debut to start off his Chelsea career. So exciting to see him. Burnley versus Southampton. Burnley, I believe, are going to be without Ben Mee and Tarkowski most likely again, which means they could be struggling a bit at the back. They're also going to be without Jay Rodriguez, who's been a good fit with Chris Wood, although Ashley Barnes is back in training and getting himself ready, but he won't be ready in time for this game. And I think that Southampton should, have the fortune be on their side this game week. I think they'll win the game. I think Burnley will probably nick one off maybe like a set play. I can see Southampton getting 2 or 3. I'm gonna go comfortable. I'm gonna say Southampton come back with a bang and win a 3-1. Sheffield United versus Leeds. I think both defenses are very, very vulnerable. I think that Sheffield United is the type of team that is very system driven. They need to get into a groove. Same with Leeds, but I think that Leeds has been a lot more effective than a lot of people anticipated. Me personally, I thought the Leeds were going to come in and be around the 12th to 8th mark, like in that bracket. They could be as good as that. And I think that Sheffield United are in potential trouble because they can't seem to score goals. So I think they'll potentially get one because Leeds is so open, and that might favor Sheffield United on the counter. But I think Leeds will just blitz past them. I think a 3-1 scoreline is fair in this regard. Tottenham versus Newcastle. I mean, Newcastle are terrible, and Spurs look to be quite good. They have Reguilon and Bale now. They won't be in for a couple of weeks. So I think Reguilon is maybe this week, game week 4, and then Bale is going to be after the international break. He's going to be assessed, I think. So I think that that's going to be something we need to pay attention to. But Newcastle just didn't show me anything that was really inspiring. And I think that Spurs are going to be able to, Bruce is probably going to set up defensively, but there's going to be a time where they're going to want to venture forward because they have been. And I think that Spurs are definitely going to be able to exploit that. And once they get one goal, then Newcastle have to kind of, play the game, as it were. They can't just sit back and defend. And with St. Maximin potentially out, that could be a big miss for them as well. Manchester City versus Leicester. Now, City have a bunch of problems. So, no Aguero, who's going to be out for 1 to 2 months, as Pep said last week. Jesus is now injured for at least a week or two. Riyad Mahrez, not necessarily fully fit, although he did play 90 minutes in midweek. De Bruyne came out with a bit of a knock to the head, so that there's questions there. Foden did look good. Sterling was mostly rested, only got like 30 minutes in the cup game. However, Leicester was dealt an even bigger blow, and Ndidi is going to be out close to 12 weeks or maybe even more, which is like Christmas time or later if he needs surgery. I believe it was like a muscular injury in the groin or thigh, where the muscle's been detached from the bone, so he needs some sort of a operation on that. So that could be a big miss because he's been filling in at center back since Johnny Evans is out, and there's still, potential that he's not fully fit. I think it came out that he was like 80%. He could be going into this game, and you need to be more than 80% to play against Manchester City. Even if they go with Sterling as a false 9, they're going to be good enough to beat Leicester. I think this could be quite one-sided. I think I see Vardy potentially scoring, so I'll go with a 3-1. Actually, you know what? I think City maul them no matter what. 4-1. Let's go for it. We're going to go ballsy with these predictions this week. West Ham versus Wolves. Again, a typical Wolves scoreline would be a nice 2-0. Even Wolves couldn't keep City out, but they are up against a much easier opposition and start their great run of fixtures, even all the way up until game week 10. And I think they should have no problem with West Ham. Fulham versus Villa. This is a pretty tough one to call personally. I think that Fulham looked okay in spurts, but that's just because I think Leeds kind of let them have the ball and kind of lost concentration a little bit. But Villa defensively have been quite good, but even with one-man advantage versus Sheffield United, who have been not the greatest defensively since the season started, I think that Fulham might be able to give them a game here. I think it's just a matter of which defense can hold up, and the couple of chances that either Watkins or Mitrovic get, can they put them away? So we'll have to see on that front. I think it could be a close game. I think that the Fulham might edge it, but I'm going to sit on the fence here, and I'm just going to go with a pretty dull 1-1. Liverpool versus Arsenal. If anyone's ever seen the previous games at Anfield, whether there's a crowd, no crowd, doesn't matter what lineup, Liverpool usually smack Arsenal. Now, different situation here. They have a new manager in with Arteta, who's been, instilling, defensive stability into the team. They've been looking a lot sharper, a lot more in tune, and I think that he could put up a fight here. Nah, I'm just kidding with you. I think Liverpool are going to blast Arsenal. The last couple of times that they played them, Liverpool were basically on the beach, and it was Community Shield was the other one. I think Liverpool win this game handily. I can see them putting a few past Arsenal. I'm going to go with a 3-1 scoreline. And I expect Mohamed Salah to be in the center of that. Also, we're going to probably have a midfield of Thiago, Wijnaldum, and Keita, which is going to be a more offensive midfield because the likes of Jordan Henderson is out. But you'll see Fabinho, who, he took Werner and made it look easy, like he was, Werner got in behind a couple of times, but every time Werner was one-on-one with Fabinho just stepped in and got rid of the ball immediately. And I think that, Lacazette's not even nearly as fast, not as nearly as skillful as the likes of Werner, so it's going to be too easy for Fabinho to just kind of step in. He's going to have to do it versus Aubameyang as well. I think Aubameyang, again, is quite rapid. Him and Werner are similar molds in terms of the style of player. They like to get in behind. They like to come in off the left. And I think that Fabinho basically played against that in the previous game. So I think he should have no problems there. Moving into our clean sheet and differential. I think the clean sheet this week is going to go to Spurs. I think they're playing against Newcastle. Newcastle are bad. And a Jose Mourinho team who's, if there's any clean sheet that they should keep, it's versus Newcastle at home. So if they don't, well then get rid of your Spurs defenders, because that's basically what I'm going to be doing. If there's no clean sheet this week, or attacking return or something from Doherty, or I know people have Davies and I know people have Dyer, then they're going in the bin. So yeah, I think clean sheet for Spurs this week. In goal, Patricio. I think he's going to face some shots versus West Ham, but I think he should relatively, be quite comfortable, keep a clean sheet. And I think for 5.5, I think he's the best goalkeeper at the moment. Wolves' defense just looks so good. They've re-strengthened with Semedo. I think there should be no problems there for Wolves. And then in defense, we have Doherty. I think that you could also put Davies here in that category. Doherty didn't play in midweek when they played the Europa League qualifier game or whatever they played. Don't ask me to pronounce the team's name. I'm terrible with names as it is, and that name is about this long, and it's got a bunch of different letters that aren't in the right order, as it were. Very difficult to pronounce. I think it was a team from I don't even know, but it was a very weird named team. But yeah, I think Doherty can get up and down the flank. I think he was unlucky to not score potentially last week, or at least get involved in game week 1, rather, not game week 2. So we'll have to see on that front. Davis as well was decent enough in Game Week 1 as well. In midfield, Phil Foden. I mean, there's no Jesus, there's no Aguero, so that means Raheem Sterling or somebody's playing false 9. There's no Gundogan, he's still out in quarantine. There's no Laporte still, who I thought, which I put in my Pep Roulette video, I thought he would be back to fitness by now. He's not. Otamendi looks like he could be sold in a swap deal for Ruben Diaz to Benfica. So that could be, on the cards there as well. So Stones and Ake probably come back in. But in terms of attackers, there's Foden, there's Riyad Mahrez, there's Raheem Sterling, there's Kevin De Bruyne, and then there's that, the couple of the youngsters. But in terms of actual first teamers, that's about it, because Bernardo Silva is going to be out until after the international break. Same goes for they mentioned somebody else in there as well. Oh, it's João Cancelo. He's going to be out as well, or Cancelo, however you want to pronounce it. So Foden looks to be a very astute pick at 6.5 million. So if you're on a wild card, I would definitely look at him. And then lastly is my differential for the forward line is Burke. Now I put him in the forward slot. I'm cheating a little bit here because he is a midfielder, but he was playing as a forward. It is a bit cheating. But what I'll do is I'll put forward question mark. That'll make sure that I cover myself there. So yeah, I think it's definitely going to be interesting. He was playing up front. He played full 90 minutes. And I think he could be, out of all the people that were to get subbed off, he was not one of them. He took off he took off McGoldrick in the last game. So I think that Burke could be seeing himself up front until they get a proper, out and out forward, like a Ryan Brewster or somebody like that. So yeah, I think it could be quite interesting. So yeah, that is my picks for the week and for the clean sheets and differentials. So let's take a look once I just put water all over my face. I went right up the nose. Oh well. That's what I get for trying to talk and drink water at the same time. It's because the top wasn't on properly. Went straight up the nose. Oh well, that's my embarrassing moment for the day. Okay. So this is how we line up in this game week. We got McCarthy in goal against Burnley. Double Liverpool defense with Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold. We have Doherty in there as well. Rodriguez, Calvert-Lewin for Everton. Mitrovic and Werner, those guys were in there last week. We have Fernandez with the vice captaincy. Same bench, just with swapping of the goalkeepers. Steer, Burke, Mitchell, Ferguson in that order. But we've gone with 2 transfers this week, taking a -4. And that is, we have taken out Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. We've brought in Salah. We've given him the armband versus Arsenal because we know what he can do versus them. And with St. Maximin, I was perfectly fine with keeping St. Maximin versus Spurs. However, the injury doubt, bit worrying. I could have potentially waited and kept put in the likes of Burke. But again, it could have been a weird situation where he just came off the bench or didn't play at all. Then I would have Mitchell versus Everton, which I don't really favor too much. So I brought in Podence, who was looking like he was going to get a price rise, which he did. And St. Maximin got a price fall. So I think that that's going to work out quite nicely for us overall. So yeah, that's how our lineup's going to be looking here. We're just going to take a look at some people who, I know people are on a wild card and that sort of stuff. So we're going to take a look at the goals imminent table here. So this is some of the players that are on it. So we have Richarlison on there. We have the likes of Che Adams, if people still have him, he's on there. We have Gini Wijnaldum, who's probably going to play. Mind you, he may play a little bit more box to box, but still gets involved. Antonio's in there. Souček is in there. Timo Werner, West Brom, on the goals imminent table, and great fixture, and a lot of people are potentially getting rid of him. Bowen is on there as well. Ward-Prowse is on there. Jonjo Shelvey and Callum Wilson. These are all players that are expected to score in this game week because of the amount of chances and the amount of shots that they've been having. So Richarlison at the top has had 10 shots inside the box. 2 big chances missed out of 2 big chances. He's had 12 goal attempts and is then the two big chances were on target as well. So Richarlison is expected to have scored 1.45 goals already, and he scored 0. Adams as well. He's had 5 shots inside the box, 3 on target, 3 total big chances. He's expected to have scored at least a goal by now as well. Timo Werner, his expected goals is 0.35, but he's had a decent amount of efforts on goal. So, again, something to kind of consider there. All right, coming back here. So we're going to take a look at some of the City assets. We're just going to briefly discuss those. So, I'm just going to go to the transfers here. I'm just going to get rid of just some of these guys here, just so we can put in a bunch of the City midfielders just in the team. I know it's going to tell me that I can't have as many City players as I want, but that's fine. Foden, Sterling. So basically these 4 are the only real ones that we can potentially look at this week, because I think they're all going to start, for 1. And 2, one of them's playing a false 9. Whether it be, I think De Bruyne is probably going to play as a number 10. And you're going to think that either Sterling or Foden maybe plays the false 9. Because Foden can play out left, right, false 9. Sterling can play out left, right, false 9. And Mahrez can play mainly out left. Now, they might play that youngster Doyle that they played in the Cup potentially up front, so we'll have to see on that front. But I think these 4 are the Manchester City assets that you should be looking at if you're on a wild card. If you have Jesus in your team, he came out on Twitter saying, "I'll be back," with like a, a strong arm and a fist bump emoji, and he's out injured, from what we can tell. At least that's what's, he's put it out on Twitter, so that's what I saw. We'll have to see. He may be on the bench. Maybe Pep might put him on the bench, but I think he's actually injured. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how they line up. I think they can go with a similar system and just play Sterling as the striker. Which, if you went for Sterling over De Bruyne this week and you were patient, it might pay off. So we'll have to see on that front. In terms of the Manchester United assets, however, a lot of people, a lot of people getting rid of Manchester United assets. I'm just gonna bring in a couple of them here. So we have the 3 main ones that everyone's looking at. Are, well, it's technically 4 actually. It's the Fab 4, as it were. And Greenwood. The Fab 4 here. So you have Rashford, Fernandes, Greenwood, and Martial. So when looking at these guys, I think that Fernandes... So there's a worrying thing that I have with Fernandes potentially. So Pogba looked very bad going in throughout the entire game when he was on the field. Overall, his passes were sloppy. He looked slow. He looked just kind of lazy, didn't really go in for the ball. He looked tired, and it just wasn't a great game from him. So, and when Donny van der Beek came on, we expected, he's going to play alongside, I can't remember who we had in at CDM. Oh, it was Scott McTominay for whatever reason. They put Pogba and McTominay on the field, which is a problem at the same time, because they're both similar-ish stature of players. If you're going to play Pogba, you need someone with energy, someone who's going to get around the ground, because Pogba doesn't do that as well. So if I was going to play Pogba in the pivot, I would play Fred next to him. If I'm going to play the likes of Matic or McTominay, I would play Van der Beek in the pivot, or Bruno even. You can potentially play them there. Just so you have two players that are that cover each other's skill sets. Because with Pogba and McTominay, they both kind of want to get forward a little bit. They both kind of want to make deeper lying passes, but they're not necessarily going to be, hard in the challenge. They're not going to be, overly aggressive or really cut passing lanes and cut the ball off and that sort of stuff, like Matic or like Fred will. and then you just have a bit of speed. Both of them are kind of like average-ish speed. They have longer strides, so it takes them a little bit longer to like once they get going, which is why I would put like Fred in there. So like if you have Donny van der Beek and Matic, you have Matic, you can cut off passing lanes and intercept the ball and kind of put tackles in, and the Van der Beek kind of just like occupying space and then basically being able to nick the ball off people with using his little bit of agility and then making the quick pass. I should probably put Van der Beek in here as well, just because he is technically in contention at 7 million. But yeah, so when Van der Beek came on, United still played the 4-2-3-1 system, but in the double pivot, they put Bruno Fernandes there. Now, I think that can potentially work, but I think Van der Beek should be played in the double pivot, and here's why. So, recently, post-restart, and when Pogba's basically played in the double pivot, whether it's with Matic, whether it's with Fred, whether it's with McTominay, he doesn't get into the box often enough. When you see Van der Beek playing, the couple of games, if you've seen the preseason game, if you've seen the way he played when he came on versus Palace, he's always finding space, getting in the box, finding space, getting in the box. Because you don't need two people just sitting in front of the back four when you're playing against a team that's playing two banks of four in Palace. Like, yeah, okay, cool, they have Zaha and Ayew on the counterattack. Okay, that's what Matic and your two center backs are for. Everyone else can go forward. You still have a numbers advantage. And anytime Zaha tries to, go up the field, you have Matic just crunch him. And then, well, I say crunch him, but don't get a yellow. Just kind of do a little innocent foul. And then it stops the counterattack dead in its tracks and stops the momentum. That's what players like St. Maximin, like Zaha, these sorts of like quick, pacey, tricky players, you have to stop them before they get enough space to where they're super dangerous. And all we did was just keep letting him have space. So what you need to go ahead and do is basically cut that off. So you have Van der Beek going forward. You just say Matic. You play on the guy who's looking like he's going to be the outlet ball. And then, bang, you just intercept it and then you can recycle the ball. Simple as that. Getting back onto the Van der Beek versus Pogba thing. Pogba typically likes to come in late into the box, which Van der Beek likes to get in there quite early. The thing is that when you have Pogba coming in late, Bruno is staying outside the box. You need one of those midfielders to be in the box all the time, doing something, making runs. Van der Beek can do that. If Bruno wants to stay on the outskirts and kind of do the little system, Van der Beek can link up with Van der Beek in that way, then do that. But I think that what you need to be able to be, kind of looking at is that when Fernandes is playing the double pivot, Van der Beek's always going to get forward and get in the box anyway. And Fernandes hasn't been doing that as much. So I think he needs to play in the number 10 role. He needs to be as close to Martial as possible. And we need to have Van der Beek playing in the pivot because he's going to get into the box and basically create kind of a similar 4-3-3 with two number 8s getting forward like the David Silvas and the De Bruynes of last season. Rashford just looked awful. Hopefully he can turn his form around. Just didn't look on it. Not sure if it's a confidence thing. Not sure if it's just a fitness thing. I have no clue. But he didn't look on it. Greenwood looked good midweek. He should come straight back in the team. And Martial needs service. I think Martial and Van der Beek are going to be very good together. I think Fernandes needs to get more involved and get in the box. I mean, he was linking up play from the outside, but I still think he needs to get in the box, and we need to have basically like, you either need to have like Fred or Matic, someone who's going to be quick into the tackle, cut the pass off, and show, what they're all about. And I think versus Brighton, it's going to be, you're going to need someone to get across quick, basically. I think you might have to play Fred. I think matches might be a bit slow because we need somebody to come across and cover if Lamptey goes on a run for Brighton. So we'll have to see on that front. But I think that overall United should come back. I can see us playing a 4-2-3-1 again. We'll play Shaw at left back. We'll play Maguire in at center back. We'll play Wan-Bissaka right back. I think he might go with Bailly at center back, which is something I would definitely like to see because I think arguably he's potentially one of our best center backs, if not our best center back, because he has pace, he's great in the air, good in the tackle. He just turns his brain off sometimes and is a bit rash and gets injured a lot. So that's kind of the problem that he potentially possesses, as it were. So we'll have to see on that front. But yeah, I don't think if you have United assets, I would say hang on to them. You know, you brought them in for these fixtures for a reason. Brighton away is a good fixture on paper. Tottenham at home can be good. Newcastle away is good. If they haven't done anything, you know, by the end of Newcastle, I would say definitely get rid of them. If they don't do anything versus Brighton, there's an argument to get rid of them as well, because 3 out of the next 4 are versus big 6 teams. So I can definitely see you know, viability for getting rid of them there. Let me reset back my team so I don't transfer everyone out, because that would be bad. And I've already taken a -4 this week, and I'd rather not do that again in multiples. So yeah, let's check the season ticker. So I'm gonna see if I can maneuver this around just a little bit. There we go. So this is on the Fantasy Football Scout members area. This is basically what it's showing you here is the best fixtures for attack-wise for all the teams. So at the top we have Wolves, West Brom, and Burnley, and down the bottom we have Leeds, Arsenal, and West Ham. So what it's saying is, based on fixtures, Wolves have the cleanest run in terms of, or the best possible run for attack, and they should be, you know, quite good offensively. They just signed Nelson Semedo, who's going to come in at right wing back, which means Traore gets pushed forward, which means Neto probably gets bumped out of the team, and Podence goes out on the left. And Nuno Espirito Santo has come out and said that they want to keep evolving, they want to keep going, they want to keep improving, and they're potentially looking to be a bit more on offense when they go against some opposition. And with the likes of Traore, Jimenez, and Podence, you can definitely do that. I mean, Podence nutmegged KDB. Like, you got to have the goal, like, absolutely, you know, amazing for them. West Brom, Burnley, Fulham, not really much of an attacking, you know, part there. Maybe Pereira is a cheaper midfielder. Mitrovic is you know, halfway decent, scored a brace last week. So if you have him, I would keep Mitrovic personally. Unless you're on a wild card, then maybe you can potentially sub him out. Southampton and Spurs are in there. You know, not bad offensive fixtures. I think Spurs' fixtures on paper look better than what they actually are. So if they play against teams that they're able to exploit in behind. So I predicted 3-0 for against Newcastle for Spurs. I think it's just Newcastle are bad. Man United won't give them the space in behind. They'll make sure that they cut the ball off, and hopefully by then they'll have their fitness up and they'll be back to match, you know, match form. West Ham again, similar-ish to Newcastle. They're gonna, you know, probably park it a little bit, may frustrate them, and it might be, you know, not great overall. Burnley again, very defensive. Brighton they might have some success against, and West Brom they might have some success as well. What position are you in the league? Down the bottom somewhere, I think. Down the bottom. Let's see. I'll tell you in a second. I'm 117th. I don't know how many people are in the league, Jones, but I am down the bottom, and that's not good because I have to win the league. I have to win the league. It'll save me from having to put an extra couple of lines in each of the YouTube videos. Where are you in the league, Jones? Hopefully you're up the top and doing quite well. My first game week wasn't great. We recovered a little bit. 93rd. Okay. In the top 100. That's okay. Again, long season, so we'll have to see how things pan out. But again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Just it's game week by game week. And then yeah, so we're gonna look at the season ticker defense here. So in terms of defense, look who's at the top. Wolves are up there as well. Fulham's up there. West Brom's up there. Palace is even up there in 4th place. Southampton defensively, same as Spurs. Down the bottom again, Sheffield United, Arsenal, West Ham. So Wolves is looking great for attack and great for defense, and that shows it. They're against West Ham, Fulham, Leeds, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Leicester. And Leicester is probably an even better fixture now because they lost Ndidi, who's going to be out till at least Christmas time. So, could be quite interesting there. I only had 45 points. I think that's more than I had. I only had 37 or 35 or something like that. So that's probably why you're a little bit ahead of me. But it's okay. We're hanging on to the wild card for the time being. I'm potentially looking at making a couple of, maybe 2 to 3 transfers next week. And then the team should be all sorted. And then I can just manage it from there. I like to do points hits in the beginning. I think the wild card is quite valuable. And the reason I'm hanging on to it is because not enough data. I don't think you should be using it unless your team is in absolutely diabolical state. Like there's multiple injuries or you know, that sort of thing. Before the international break, the first one at least. Because then 4 weeks worth of data, you can start to, you know, detect patterns and that sort of stuff. Typically, there's fixtures changes. So like in this week, you know, we've seen Man City play. They came out with a bang. We've seen United play. They look sloppy. We've seen Wolves. Wolves have done well, even though they lost to City in their last game, but they have a fixture swing. Everton, you know, has been looking quite good. Chelsea has some, you know, it has a decent-ish run with West Brom, Crystal Palace, Southampton. So we'll have to see on that front. Anyone who had, like, you know, people who got sent off, you know, red cards, so like Egan, Basuma, these types of players, could potentially be looking to get them out as well. So I think it's fine to use your wild card here, mainly because of just the circumstances in, you know, what happened with the whole, like, United City not playing in Game Week 1. And I'm going to do a wild card video next week as well as over the international break, and then the next one. So I'll do one for Game Week 4, one for Game Week 5, and then I'll do one for international break, so for Game Week 9. And then we'll stop for the time being. And then I'll probably do one sometime around Game Week 15 or 16. Gabriel from Arsenal is looking good. Yeah, I mean, Arsenal's defenses look good, but I think they're going to get thrashed by Liverpool this week. Which is why I predicted a 3-1 scoreline for Liverpool. And it's also why I have the armband on Mohamed Salah as well. Because I think that every time Arsenal play Liverpool at Anfield, they don't know how to play football, basically, and then Liverpool just batter them to bits. Yeah. Actually, let me change my differential pick. So for those that were here earlier, I put Burke from Sheffield United, who's a midfielder. I just kind of blanked out. I just thought he was a forward. But he's not. So I'm going to put as my differential forward pick. Let me check the fixtures. Differential pick. Let's go with Chris Wood from Burnley. Just a stable pick. He's up against Southampton, who've been looking worse. But again, Southampton play a high line. And Chris Wood shouldn't exploit that because he's slow. But Werner will get goals tomorrow. I hope so. I hope so. It would make my transfers a little bit more difficult, though, next week. Yeah. I think if Werner doesn't do it, then I would say get rid. But I would say be cautious, because probably after the international break, you're looking at the likes of Ziyech and Pulisic coming back into the team. And by then, they'll be full fitness. They'll be back in. They'll be gelled. Chilwell will be in there. Thiago Silva will be in there. They'll have Edouard Mendy, who they'll be familiar with. So I think that, you know, definitely could be quite successful overall. But yeah. Overall, I think it should be a pretty fun game week. There's some interesting fixtures in there. Havertz and Werner will tear apart West Brom. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible. I mean, I got rid of Havertz for game week 2. I just hope that, Werner does decently well and all those people that sold him get punished. Because he was at like 45% or something owned at one point. Now he's down to 36%. And, he's similar captaincy, in terms of ownership for Salah and De Bruyne. So if you captain Werner, he might be a differential. Even Bruno Fernandes, who's lower owned, could be a potential higher captaincy. In terms of just like how many people captain him, just because how many people will still have him potentially. But we'll have to see. I'm looking forward to it though. I just hate that Liverpool play on Monday because that's the game I want to see the most, because it's two bigger clubs playing against each other. I have 3 players from that game. My captain's in that game. Also, it's always nice to put your captaincy on the last game on Monday, because it gives you a reason to watch it. Because typically they put like a very dull game on Monday. Tammy will play striker and Werner will play on the wing. That's possible. Tammy did play quite well in midweek. I can see them playing like Werner out left. So basically they could set up a 4-2-3-1. They can go... they'll probably play Kepa or Caballero in goal. I hope they play Caballero. That'd be funny. They'll play... I'm not sure if Chilwell's fully fit, but I think he did feature. They can play Chilwell. They can play Thiago Silva, who featured. And then a center back. They can play Reece James or Azpilicueta at right back. They can play Kovacic Kante. They can play Havertz in front. They'll play Mason Mount out wide right. They'll play Werner out wide left. And they'll play Tammy as the striker, which would be interesting. Because you can have Tammy kind of be the outlet and kind of, drop into the hole, pick up the ball. Have Havertz running in behind. Have Mount running in behind. Have Werner using his pace running in behind. And then you can create all sorts of problems for West Brom, who just look to be all over the place, versus Everton. So put it this way, if Chelsea don't put 3 past West Brom, there's going to be a lot of bookies making money. Because there's going to be so many people betting on like 2, 3, 4-0s probably for a Chelsea victory. So we'll have to see on that front. But yeah, should be quite interesting. Actually, let me take a look at what fixtures I have players in. So I have I'm a Manchester United fan, so I'll be watching the United game. But I have Fernandes in the first game. I have 2 Everton players and technically Mitchell in the second game. I have Werner in the third game. I have McCarthy in the last game, so I have a player in every game, which is nice. Sunday, I have Burke off my bench. The first game, I have Doherty in the second game. This is the game I'm worried about. I'm worried about Man City. We're going to be getting City in next week, for sure. But, this is the game I'm worried about. What will happen to Tammy and Mount when Pulisic and Ziyech come back? They'll go to the bench, for sure. I can envision a system where they play a 4-2-3-1. They have Reece James right back, Chilwell left back, Thiago Silva +1 in defense, Mendy in goal, Kovacic Kante, Havertz as the number 10, Werner through the middle, Pulisic wide left, and Ziyech wide right. And then basically what you can do is, if you want to change up the system and Ziyech is getting tired, you pull on Mount for Ziyech, and then you take off Kovacic and you put in Mount to go 4-3-3, where you can have Mount, Ziyech, and Conte to play a midfield 3, because Ziyech can play that like number 8 role, as can Mount. You put Havertz out wide right. You put Pulisic out wide left, and you have Werner through the middle. And then if you want to change it up even further, let's say Pulisic's tired, you can take him off, put Abraham through the middle, put Werner out wide left, There's many different ways that Chelsea can use their players they have, and it's mainly because Mount and Ziyech are so versatile and so good. But I think that's how they'll play on paper, because Kovacic's Conte is like probably the best pivot you can dream of. You have one guy who's quick, good in the tackle, very good at intercepting and cutting passing lanes. Then you have a deep lying playmaker in Kovacic who's smooth on the ball. If he gets pressed, he's very good at releasing the ball and finding the right pass. Decent in the air, decent in the tackle, likes to drive the ball forward. And that's one of the things that Chelsea's missed. They missed deep lying playmakers in multiple positions. So that's going to be Kovacic and Ziyech. And they've missed people who can drive with the ball. So Kovacic can dribble the ball forward. Pulisic can dribble the ball forward. Ziyech can dribble the ball forward and then cross from deep. You know, these are things that are just going to develop as Chelsea play on and on. West Ham and Wolves we're going to be paying attention to as well, because we want to see if Semedo's straight in. But we don't have any players there as far as I remember. Oh no, we have Podence. Oh yeah, we can watch him. Then we have Mitrovic, and then we have our 3 Liverpool players. So basically everyone except for, I mean, Sheffield United, not really. And then the City game. Chelsea could cause problems for any team and fully fit. I 100% agree. They are super scary. And if City or Liverpool slip up, then Chelsea could be taking second place. No problem. People are saying, oh, well, you know, if you play Chilwell and you play Reece James and you have, Pulisic and you have Werner and you have Ziyech and you have, Havertz. These guys, there's so many, attacking options here. Where's the defense going to come from? Well, you have Thiago Silva, great leader. He's going to turn whoever the other center back is into a good defender. I mean, there was a spell where Joe Gomez was looking excellent alongside Van Dijk, but obviously we know that Van Dijk can't cover everything for the defender. But like Fabinho stepped in now, and they look like an impossible center back duo to get past. Now that Henderson's out for at least this game week for Liverpool, and Thiago Silva's not the fastest, so I think you need to put in somebody who's got a bit of pace about them. I think Tomori would be good. I think Zuma can be good. You just need somebody with pace. That's what United struggle with. Lindelof and Maguire not fast at all. Put Bailly next to Maguire. You got 2 guys who are beasts in the air, and they can just take the ball off people. Yeah, Zuma. People are saying Zuma's been looking the best out of the 3. I would agree. Christensen is a calamity. He reminds me of... He's the Chelsea version of Phil Jones, in my opinion. And maybe a bit harsh. Phil Jones is a lot worse than he is. But even still. Zuma has been looking decent. Still quite young. Again, I think that's the thing that people are failing to realize. Yes, Thiago Silva's 35, going 36 or whatever it is. He's going to be there to kind of coach along these center backs to become better players and learn to become leaders and become the the solid player in that back line. So I think 1 year, 2 years down the line, Chelsea are going to be looking to potentially bring in another like world-class center back to play along one of these guys, or maybe they develop 2 of their own. We'll have to see how that kind of pans out. Same with that's what City's problem was. When Laporte came in, they solved that issue, but when Laporte's out, who knows what that back line looks like. It's not great overall. But that's how City were able to kind of shore up their weaknesses. Laporte was a very good 1v1 defender. You had Fernandinho, who's very good at just taking the ball off people. And Chelsea are going to do the same thing. Rodri is a very good passer of the ball. Rodri and Kovacic are a similar style of player. Somebody that likes to progress the ball. Somebody that likes to, nick in and take it. And then you have Fernandinho, who Conte is basically just a smaller version of him, basically. Chelsea buy Rice before the transfer window is closed. Yeah, that's another thing too. I mean, I think, is Declan Rice a better player than Kovacic or Conte? No. Is Declan Rice probably a better player than Jorginho? Yeah, probably. I personally think that Depends on how much he costs. I mean, Chelsea can splash as much money as they want. And if they're getting rid of Jorginho to replace him with Declan Rice, then be my guest. But I think that Chelsea could be, you know, like their depth's insane. Like, if you just go position by position of Chelsea's team, right? You look at up front. So I believe they still have Giroud. So they have Giroud. They have Tammy Abraham. They have Timo Werner. They even have, you know, Havertz, who can play false nine. So that's 4 players potentially in that position. Wide left, you have Werner, Pulisic, Mount, even though I don't think Mount's very good there. They have Callum Hudson-Odoi. That's 4 players there. Wide right, this is probably where they don't have as many players. So you have Mount, Pulisic could technically play there. Callum Hudson-Odoi could technically play there, but Ziyech is their only real one there. In the number 10, well, that list is massive. Midfield, they have Kovacic, Conte, Billy Gilmore. If they bring in Rice, they'll have him as well. They still have Jorginho. They have Ruben Loftus-Cheek. They have Mount that can play in a midfield 3. You know, left back, they'll have Chilwell Alonso. Right back, they'll have Azpilicueta, Reece James. Center back, they'll have Zuma, Thiago Silva, Christensen, and Rudiger. And then they'll have Mendy in goal. Like, their team is super stacked depth-wise. And then they probably have about 85 players out on loan that nobody's even heard of that they can bring in as well. That's why Chelsea not having a transfer window when they were able to buy Kovacic, because that deal was already done the season before they got banned, was fine, because they brought all these players back, like Mount, like Abraham, who have been playing in the Championship, doing well, and they got embedded into the team, and now they're going to be important players. Like, if I could potentially field 2 different Chelsea 11s. So I could have a cup team. I'll just say, let's just say a hypothetical cup team. You can have Willy Caballero in goal, Alonso left back, Christensen and Rudiger at center back, Azpilicueta at right back. You have Billy Gilmore and Declan Rice as your 2, you know, in the double pivot. You have Mason Mount in the number 10. You have Tammy Abraham up front. Callum Hudson-Odoi out wide left. And then you have, or even Mount out wide right, and Loftus-Cheek in the number 10. And then you have the starting 11 that I mentioned earlier, which is Kovacic, Conte, Pulisic, Ziyech, Havertz, Werner, Chilwell, Reece James, Thiago Silva, Zuma, Mendy. Like, the team's nuts. But, yeah, I think that's going to do it for us today. So, yeah, that's going to do it for the Game Week preview. Remember, if you haven't done so already, make sure to give us a follow over here on Twitch. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Give us a follow over on Twitter. All the support helps. We'll be back here tomorrow, 5 a.m. EDT. We'll be here live for our Game Week 3. I almost said final Game Week. Game Week 3. I hope it's not the final Game Week because the season just started. Game Week 3 deadline for Game Week 3. And we're going to be doing some last-minute discussions, maybe some potential injury news that comes out that was maybe embargoed. We'll potentially be looking at that or potentially taking a peek at that. You know, we got quotes today and saw that Jesus tweeted out that he's not going to be fit for the game this weekend. So Raheem Sterling false 9 incoming. All those people on a wild card are potentially panicking because they were looking at Jesus and De Bruyne double up. Now they have to look elsewhere. Maybe they go with the likes of Mahrez for the time being, and they swap him to a Chelsea player, but we'll have to see. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Like I said, give us a follow on all the socials. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. All that good stuff. Links are in the description. And until the next one, take care.